What came out of that journaling?
I don't know.
And why did you stay?
The journaling might have been the reason I was stepping away from the game at that point. I'd say the big thing that I learned from going through that tough time of, that offseason after St. Louis, and I didn't touch a football much. I reported to offseason training for a few weeks. That was the only time I touched football. And then behind closed doors, we had an agreement. There was things going on to where I just stayed home and I didn't touch a football again. And I was really trying to figure out how to step away from the game.
Can you imagine if he'd stepped away from the game and wasn't there for the Super Bowl that time? Holy shit. That's wild.
It is wild. But what I learned through that time was I was going through so much. My wife and we talked about it, Tori and I talked about everything. And my family was always supportive. They knew something deep down inside me I had to deal with. And it talks a lot about in that MVP press conference of when you're going through struggles, when you're going through those times, you're growing. I knew deep down, the good Lord was allowing me to grow in a way, but I wasn't really moving forward. And it wasn't until I went on a fly fishing camping trip with my brother-in-law and got away and came back. And I had already texted Andy Reid that I wasn't going to play anymore. And, he's a great mentor. I love that man. I got back, I talked to my wife, 6 teams had called, and I felt the pressure coming again. I couldn't handle it. Tears start coming out. I just don't want to play again. I can't do it. But I remember sitting there with her. It was tough on her because she knew that she didn't want me to play. She knew that there was something deep inside of me that I had to face because I had the ability to play.
Yeah.
There was something I needed to face. And I remember at that moment I said a prayer, and in the prayer I was just basically asking God to point me a direction, and he didn't. But what I felt was I needed to choose. I needed to choose to step away from the game, or I needed to choose to go back. Either way, it would have been fine because I would have trusted in him.
Yeah.
But the reason I chose to come back and play at that moment in my life was that was what I was so fearful of, and I needed to face it because I know fear doesn't come from God, and I needed to trust God to go into that. That's the thing I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So I decided to go face that fear.
Give him a hand for that for sure.
Woo! Thank you.
And I think that it's really cool to be on the stage with you, to have opportunities to share it. Because I think it's tough for people to talk about. It was tough for me to talk about it.
Yes.
But then when I decided to go back and play, it was every moment it's always been to glorify God, to impact people, to build that relationship in the locker room, to be in the community, to be a husband, be a father, keeping my priorities straight. And it just, the game, before a lot of NFL players, you're trying to hang on to the NFL. You're trying to hang on until you get cut. I chose to go back and play, and thankfully the Kansas City Chiefs had me at that point. Coach Reid had me. But now it's just I find such a joy. There's not that pressure pulling me. I just go out there and play. I enjoy the locker room. I enjoy, being honest with the media. Before I was talking to media, I was trying to be, everything was politically correct. You're afraid to say anything wrong. Now I just sit in there, I don't care about the time. Ask your questions. Let's have a conversation. So my perspective had changed because of what I went through in life.
And tell me, how has the failures you've gone through, how has it affected the victories?
You know what? I think that my perspective changed so much to where when you're victorious, a lot of people would expect you to say to shove it in people's face, but for me it's very humbling.
Yes.
Because I know where I was,
Yeah.
and that I'm very grateful to be there, and I know that with the victories, with winning the Super Bowl, there's a great responsibility. And that's where having an opportunity to be on stage here is a great example of getting to share the story. That's a great responsibility that I've been given because of that platform. So that's how I approach those things, but that's because of the life journey of failing, going through all that, going through victories, learning, having great mentors, having an amazing wife. I've been very blessed. So,
what would you say to